Painting with Menoth John is presented in Super Legitivision. Super Legitivision, the future of podcasting. It's .com.
Hello, I'm
Menoth John.
and I'd like to welcome you. First of all, let me take just a moment to thank you for allowing me back into your homes. If this is your first time with us, let me extend a personal invitation for you to drag out your
miniatures
and paint along with us each week. Let's go over to the canvas here and let's get started. I believe, every day's a good day when you paint. I believe, it'll bring a lot of good thoughts to your heart. I believe, every day's a good day when you paint. I believe, it'll bring a lot of good thoughts to your heart. Let's build a happy little cloud. Let's build some happy little trees. There are no limits here. You start out by believing here. You can almost paint with anything. All you have to do is practice.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Suck It, Cowboys! Woo! All right, well, usually I'm the kiss of death for the Packers, but not tonight, ladies and gentlemen. God damn it, let's drink. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, this is Sunday night, and that must mean that's all right. And coming to you from the Glove and Boot Studios, it's Painting with Menoth John show. Hey, everybody, it's Sunday night. You know, I don't do this show alone, and that's a good thing, because, boy, this would be a boring-ass show. With me tonight, of course, you know him. He is the wind beneath my wings. He's the mighty right hand of the podcast. He is, of course, Mr. John Spencer.
Hello.
Hey, John. And, of course, we have the wild card, the man that brings the biscuit to the basket each and every episode. That's Gonzo.
Woo-woo.
Whoop, whoop. And, of course, we have a legitimate painter in our midst. It's the Brushhead Gallery episode, so we have brought on the inimitable Mr. Side Hustle Studios himself, Seth Watkins.
Woo.
Woo! All right, we got all the woo-hoos out of the way. We are going to knock the shit out of you tonight, Brushheads. We are going to bring it hard and often. And we have got all kinds of interesting things to show you. It is lots of super fun submissions for the Brushhead Gallery. You know, Seth, they must have known you were coming on because they have submitted some amazing stuff. And we are very excited to have you with us to both celebrate the Brushheads as well as there might be some tips and tricks that you might offer up as we go along. And folks, remember, if we talk about your photo and we offer some tips and tricks, this is a growth experience, John. Wouldn't you agree?
Absolutely. It's a good time to get some good feedback on your models from someone with Seth's skills, which are considerable.
Absolutely. We are very excited about this opportunity to have Seth on here. But before we get too far into the show, ladies and gentlemen, of course, you know, one of the we built this city not on rock and roll, but we did build it, in fact, on booze. And so tonight, I'm going to be starting off with a shot of liquid sandpaper, otherwise known as Kraken. And then I'm going to be following it up with this stuff, which is arguably some of the best beer in the universe, and that is Warlock. So I've dipped into the treasure trove of Warlock, and we're going to have that tonight. John, what about you tonight, buddy?
Well, I'm going to start off with a shot of Captain Morgan's Cannon Blast, and then I have some Kraken mixed with some very, very, very cheap cola, which is still going to be better than that crap pumpkin beer from last week.
Boom, much better. Gonzo, you're going to bring the wild card. What are you drinking tonight?
Start off Maker's Mark in Painting with Menoth John shot glass.
Oh, shit.
Shit. And I'm trying some King Louis toffee stout from a company in Minneapolis.
Very nice.
Kind of a local, so.
Very nice.
It's mine.
What about you, Seth? What are you drinking?
I've got some Michigan Harvest from Virtue Cidery in Fenville, Michigan.
Fenville, Michigan, otherwise known as the place that is not Pawpaw. So there you
Correct.
go. You know, if you want to understand that joke, you're going to have to get over there to patreon.com. You know, folks, the lights don't keep themselves on. You know, electrons, they come from places. I'm not saying it's aliens, but it's aliens. And, you know, but if you don't want to keep the aliens away from this show, patreon.com/menothjohn. You know, if you get out there and you pledge $1, you're going to be able to listen to the pre-ramble. That's $1 per episode. That means that's $4 a month. We're only ever going to charge you for four shows a month because we care about you. The second one thing, if you go to $2, you're going to hear about what, John Spencer?
Whatever I'm talking about on the co-host corner.
That's right.
3 episodes a month. That's my goal. Sometimes I get 4. Fourth one's might be free. We'll see.
There you go. And that is some exciting stuff. You're on episode 20. 20 just uploaded. It is not even available yet for even our patrons right now. It's like a lady in waiting coming this Friday. So
Damn.
Mixed metaphor, I think.
you can't go to Fandango and get tickets for it. You can't even go to Live Nation. They won't do it. But patreon.com/menothjohn at the $2 per episode level, that's going to get you all kinds of shit. And one of those is the co-host corner. If you go to $5, I'm liable to give you a big hug when I see you. $5 an episode, that's uncalled for. And then there's the $10 chili level that will result in free dinner at a con or something like that. So there you go. Anyway, so we're going to have a wonderful time here tonight. We don't have sponsors on this show anymore, John. Were you aware of that?
I was aware of that. No
Yep.
sponsors.
We don't have any sponsors, but we do have Side Hustle Studios. Folks, if you want your stuff painted both on the front and back of the model, that is the specialty. Underneath, he'll do the top, the bottom, upside down. You can look at the model from all 360 degrees. He'll give you that last degree. Normally, most painters, they'll give you 359. But not Side Hustle Studios, because that last degree is on the side, and that's what makes it a side hustle, folks. That last degree. He'll paint the shit out of anything you send him. Side Hustle Studios. Just ask for Seth. And there you
That's
go.
my motto. I'll paint the shit out of anything you send me.
So on behalf of Side Hustle Studios, Gonzo, John Spencer, Seth, the guy down the street, and every hobo in America, hey, Ron.
Ron,
Run.
Oh, God, I'm
you
so
make
glad.
a joke about painting the front and back, but there's an old GW painter who would occasionally have to paint stuff for White Dwarf, who will remain nameless because I'm a nice guy, who would often miss deadlines and only paint one side of the miniature.
Sometimes that shit's got too much surface area, folks. Can't be bothered with that extra half a... Oh, hey, shit. Chili Winters is in the house. There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. Wow, this is fantastic. I'll tell you, it's a red letter day for Brushheads everywhere, folks. We are going to have some good times tonight. We're going to do Brushhead Gallery. John, I think it is in our best interests as professional podcasters to go ahead and kind of launch into that. And then if we have extra time, we can do extra things with that time. What do you think?
I agree. Absolutely.
Okay. Well, I'm going to tell you what we're going to do here. The first thing we're going to do is, because I'm not good at taking pictures and doing anything with them, I'm going to start off the show by moving over here to the painting cam. I'm going to use technologies, John. Stand back. Some science and shit's going to happen. So we're going to start off here. I'm not going to say this is good, even good camera work at this point, but this is my Guardian, I think is what this is. And I want to show off some of the stuff that I've been doing since the last Brushhead Gallery. And I think this was the model I did after the last Brushhead Gallery finished up. And this is my Guardian. And I'm pretty proud of the back of them. I bought these resin bases from, what the heck is it? Dragon Forge Design. Mm-hmm. And I used some of that Citadel, they call it the Waystone Green, on the eyes. And I really like how that turned out.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It looks good.
It's got a nice glow to it. And we did a little OSL on there, some successfully, some not so successfully. But, there you go. It's a model, and I painted it. So that's that one. Let's see. Let's get a little troll action going here. And here we have Horgel the Anvil. And we've posted some pictures of this. I was pretty happy with how this guy turned out. He's got a lot of contrast, and this was before we had Seth on, and when we talked about the zenithal shading. So these earlier models that I'm showing off are kind of my more traditional painting method, and they turned out pretty okay. So I love how
Put that on the table.
Oh yeah, this is good from 3 feet for sure. And I like how the fire turned out on this one. I like how I did the white close to here, and then it turned out pretty cool. Let's put another guy on here. Here is a let's I painted this guy and assembled him over a couple of different shows. This is the final outcome of the spare parts black-eyed wrestler. If you remember, Privateer Press sent me the wrong spare parts when I was missing some, and then this guy happened. And so this guy he's coming up out of the swamp. And the interesting thing I like about this one is you'll notice the belly section down here. That is all, this whole section is green stuff.
That's good.
I sculpted that, and that is probably the best sculpting I've ever done.
I think that's my favorite model you've ever done.
Really?
Like if we talk about, not because it's necessarily the best paint job, but talking about just character, the fact that there's an entire story, you can see that the Gatorman, that the wrestler's coming out of the swamp, that he's at the pier. Like that there's somebody on the other end of that pier running like hell. Like that's perfect.
Man,
That guy made brown.
Thank you. That makes me very happy. That makes me very, very happy. And so he turned out pretty cool. Now this is your more this is a little bit more traditional. This is a blind walker, and he's pretty okay too. He's got his moments. I liked how the candles turned out on this one. I think with the OSL on the candle glow on the edges of the candle, I think turned out pretty good. I like down here. He's pretty looking good. I don't like his eyes. I think I screwed up the eyes a little bit, but hey, not everything's perfect.
They stand out, which is good.
Yeah,
From across the table, they're
pops
going to
a
look
little
very, very distinctive.
Here's what he looks like when he's standing on his head. So there you go. You don't see blind walkers standing on their heads that often. Now we get into the stuff that Seth kind of led me down the path on here, and this is my first one. This is the first model I have ever painted that didn't have any GW washes on it. Or I shouldn't say it the first. There were models before I knew what Devlin Mud and Agrax Earthshade were. But since learning that, this is the first one that didn't. And I like how the shading turned out in between on the leathers back over here. That was using, that was some Signar blue that was mixed into the brown right off the old PP painting mix table. And Seth, that was one of the things you taught me on that episode was it showed me why the shades and the highlight colors were what they are on that PP chart. So they work remarkably well. So I'm pretty happy with how this guy turned out. Ice brought to you by the Glacier King. There you go. So there he's off of there. And then the last one I wanted to show off was this is the Swamp Horror that I did. And like how this guy turned out, once again, another model without a bit of Agrax Earthshade on him. And the shading in between the tentacle parts was a bootstrap leather to go along with what was called Hazard Orange by Minotaur was the main color on this. And then I also used some irradiated yellow from Minotaur also to help bring out some of the lighter shades along the tentacles as well. I kind of cheated a little bit here and used a gloss varnish on the membrane part to kind of give it that shininess. Seth, when you're doing something like a membrane or something like that, is there another technique you might use to help show it rather than the gloss?
So there's nothing wrong with using the gloss. Actually, varying the types of finishes that you have on a model is one of the ways to really make it sparkle and bring it to life. It's why people don't just use gray and black paint in order to make everything non-metallic metal. I think that what you could do with the membrane, though, is play with some really strange colors. So I just finished doing a Malifaux commission of some bizarre mutant tentacle-y things where it was grayish pink skin, but the shadows were magenta and then purple.
Interesting.
And because you had these really drastic changes from a very dark blue into that indigo purple to that bright magenta to that gray, it actually looked very much alive, even though it was obviously not natural. So that's one of the ways that you could play with the membranes.
Cool. I appreciate that. That's some bold moves there. I mean, that's something that you want to maybe practice a little bit on a practice model that you've got somewhere before you put it onto a piece that you care an awful lot about. Now, one of the things that I learned on this one that was interesting is if you look at the eyes, I was playing with some brighter yellows on it, and I did not like how it turned out. And here I had this model that I thought I had done a very good job on, and then I thought I had wrecked it. But using some glazes, I was able to come up with a glaze of this color that I'm using on the horns, which is I believe Trader Green from PP. I made a little glaze of that, and it dulled down the yellows just enough. And so the thing I want to kind of talk a little bit about there, folks, is if you think you made a mistake, think about ways that you can turn that into an opportunity, and say, okay, maybe it's not perfect. Well, what can we do with that? And so rather than give up on the model and say, well, it's going to have shitty eyes, maybe there's some simple ways that you can work around it. So it's kind of thinking those terms rather than giving up. Also, totally assembled this wrong. There's supposed to be a part there on his chin that I didn't even realize, but it's got a nice little dimple. It's got this is the first swamp horror with a cleft chin. It's very very sexy in Hollywood these days to have your swamp horror have a cleft chin. So there you go. And those are the models that I've been painting. The ones that, Madrak 3 needs some love. He's a long ways from finished. This is Seth, we talked a little bit on Facebook about doing metallics and whether or not the zenithal shading technique has a lot of use in that. And this is the bouncer I'm currently working on. And you can see where I did some zenithal shading on it, and you can see how especially this breastplate is a little bit darker than maybe some of these up on the top. And that is a result of the color of the base of the priming underneath. Maybe not the most effective thing. We're going to definitely go in here with some Newland oil and bring this, do some shading on this and some washing. But this is painted pretty much old school like how I've been doing before that episode. So it'll get there. It's got a long ways to go.
If you want to, in the next couple of weeks, I could actually come up to you and we could do a show where we talk about metals and talk about how to go from the stage you're at here into doing true metallic metals, which causes a lot more to pop, but you're like exactly at the stage where you would start adding the matte paint that would then create dramatic shadows and great contrast.
Well, we are going to
all it and go.
We are going to put this model right over here and not touch it until Seth comes up. So
she scores.
So that is that's wonderful. I'm going to be really busy. So we're probably looking somewhere into February, Seth, which is good because roads don't suck as bad at the end of February as they do right now. So, Seth, that would be fantastic. It totally would take you up on that. So there's my contributions to the Brushhead Gallery. John and Gonzo, do you think we ought to just launch into the Brushhead Gallery proper?
Yeah, there's a ton here. Let's hit it.
Yeah, there's a lot. 44.
All right, so here we go. So, folks, this is really a celebration of the Brushheads. And this is I put on here the happy third year of PwMJ one. We'll change that for the next one, but this was the end of the 2016, and that's why we went ahead and stayed with where we are. And once again, thanks to all of you who contributed. And for those of you who didn't contribute on this one, I hope you will consider to send us something for the next one because we do enjoy doing these episodes. They are a labor of love, and we love you for sending it. So without further ado, let's move on here to Daffod Kelly. Now, Daffod sent us once again. He's sticking with the old Infinity here. And so, John, once again, I'm going to have to kick it over to you to tell me what the hell it is I'm looking at.
Well, luckily, I went and did a little research for the ones I couldn't tell. So the first one's a picture of one of each of them. There are three mercenaries. There is Yojimbo, there is Saito Togan, and then there's Miyamoto Musashi, who is actually a, if you will, genetic recreation of the original to help fight off the alien combined army and inspire troops.
There you go.
As far as background goes. And then the other two pictures in that one are of Yojimbo on his motorcycle and off. But I don't see any crazy koalas, which is too bad, because those are cool. They're like little mobile mines that run around and blow people up. Because that's fun. Super
sweet. Are they a little bit like the Tachikomas from Ghost in the Shell?
Oh, no, they're much smaller. The Tachikomas would be more like actual drones in this game.
Oh, okay. Got it.
because they're armed sometimes and all. These are actually like little, smaller than man-sized. It'd be like having a koala bear made of metal that's full of explosive that runs up and blows things up.
That sounds so fucking Australian. I don't even know where to start. It's something cute that wants you dead.
Yes, it's pretty cool.
Excellent.
And then
Let's go to the next
I
one.
love- Next one is Saito Togen again. He's sort of like a Japanese mercenary who was left for dead and now goes and kills people.
Mhm.
And then there's Musashi Miyamoto on the other side again with the two swords.
Mhm.
A couple different models of him. That's pretty cool. And then in the middle are from the Yuching faction, which are the more Oriental Asian themed. And those are both, I believe, Tiger Soldiers, which are their drop troops. They drop down and blow people up.
Very, very nice. Daphne, really appreciate these models that you send us each and every time. You know, you've become a real cornerstone of the Brushhead gallery. Really like the oranges here. Orange is not an easy color to get color saturation on, and did a really nice job of getting some on these. More from Daphne, John.
Well, the one with the bow is a ninja with tactical bow, which is one of the exclusive models from the Operation Red Veil starter set.
Cool.
Shockingly, even in the future, they still use bows because bows have a cool rule called silence, so that if they kill somebody, he can't raise the alarm. And then the other guy, I don't know who he is. I think he's either one of the role-playing game miniatures or a stand-in for something because I don't recognize him.
So, Seth, as you look at these models and you look at Daphne's techniques, if you had to offer now remember, folks, when we ask Seth, these are for a tip. We're not looking at any type of criticism or any kind of saying that there's anything wrong with any of the miniatures. What we're looking for is maybe how to offer you an opportunity to level up your painting. So, Seth, is there any one thing that you would recommend to Daphne from what you've seen from these initial pictures that you would recommend?
Yeah, as I look at all of them, what I'm seeing is that Daphne's doing a very good job of putting in his initial base color, getting in a little bit of a shade, and then doing a dark line of some kind around all of the major pieces, which is good. I would push that contrast up by doing some selected edge highlights. Infinity figures are especially good for this because they've got hard armor plates mixed with soft armor plates. So if you just get the top edge of the hard armor plates, that's a great way to make these pop even more.
Excellent. So, like on these oranges, maybe coming across like where the kneecap is here on the figure on the left, perhaps come with a brighter yellow.
A brighter yellow or even an off-white.
Interesting. Now, Declan Lowry has been with us for an awfully long time, hasn't he, John?
Yes, he has.
And
Long time.
Yep, he goes way back. And Declan, I'm very glad that you decided to contribute to this month's Brushhead Gallery. Really love this one. I've got some notes here, and let's see. This is from some people, folks. I really appreciate it when you include some notes along with your different models. This is a converted Gundam, if I'm not mistaken. And this is he decided to go as a battle-worn version of Chappie from the movie Chappie.
Okay.
And so as we go to the next slide, you'll get a chance to see what the original model looked like. But this was his take on it, and he wanted to do a lot of battle damage. And I love all of the graffiti that's on here. Take a look at that shield. That is some really, really very realistic looking battle damage and wear. Now, I'm going to flip to the next slide here real quick because I want to focus on that middle picture. And, you know, I've seen a lot of rusted shit because I'm from Wisconsin. And this is really, really good worn metal. Seth, I'd like to get your comments on this.
I really like it. I think that the metal and the wearing that he's got here is good. The bullet damage and the cut from the looks like a sword, all very good, very realistic. The one thing that I could probably do to push this a little different, or I'd recommend to Declan, is that where the bullet holes are, that's fresh damage. Paint has just flecked off. But on the corner edges of the shield, that's worn over time. So you should be putting a little bit more orange and yellow in there to indicate that there's a little bit of rust as well as chipping of paint.
Oh, I like that
Um,
idea.
and it's just, again, it's like with a lot of work in miniature, little details like that really push the realism, which makes the audience way more engaged.
Oh, that's a really, really good suggestion. I hadn't even thought of that when I was looking at these, but you know, and they do make some really good products for doing rusting on things right now that really, really simplified it. So, I mean, that's something that you can definitely take a look at, Declan, for maybe plussing Chappie up a little bit. You know, John, have you seen Chappie as a movie?
I have not.
Actually, I'm kind of interested to watch Chappie because of this
That's
model.
good.
You know, John, we haven't done something in a long, long time, and that's called a Brushhead Gallery, not a Brushhead Movie Club.
Correct. We have not.
I'm wondering if we shouldn't think about Chappie for a movie club selection.
If it's on Netflix or anything. I haven't seen it on Netflix or anything. Let me check.
So we're not calling this an official Brushhead movie club at this point. But John, if you could get us your opinion on that, I would certainly appreciate it, and we'll think about it for the future. And on the right-hand side, of course, is the original Gundam model that he used in this conversion, and this is pretty damn striking. So great job. Here's another one from Declan. We have one more from Declan Lowry, I believe. This was a later entry. And here we see a Cyclops Shaman, which I love the musculature on this one. And then we also have from Drop Ship Commander or Drop Ship something or other. Drop Fleet, yeah, what he said, is a ship from that one. So, Seth, your thoughts on these particular models?
I love the color selection on the dropship model. That it's supposed to be a massive ship, and yet you still have a sense of a cockpit. You still have a sense of some of the age and wear with the red that's been chipped away a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I just think it's very well done. It's a very striking piece.
Yeah, excellent. Declan, you're really knocking it out of the park with this one. Gonzo, your thoughts?
I also like the ship also, because the dropship stuff is really tiny compared to the more miniatures we do, and getting really good detail on those is really important.
John, have you had a chance to play Drop Fleet Commander at all?
No, I can't really get behind any of the ships. None of their aesthetics are me necessarily, but they do have some very, very good quality stuff.
It's going to be interesting to see how games like that with GW kind of cranking up the specialist games again, to see how things go with that. Because if I'm not mistaken, Drop Fleet is an awful lot, harkens back to Battlefleet Gothic and stuff like that. So be interesting to see how that goes. So
yeah,
Declan, super glad that you contributed to the Brushhead Gallery. Now, here's one that we got some pictures from Brian Latour, and he gave me straight up like liner notes on what it is we're looking at. So the first one here is Drago. He said nothing special. I disagree. I think it's very special. Love the basing on this model.
The base is amazing.
Yep, just Drago on a custom base. Turns out that's enough, Brian. He goes, I screwed up one of the axes, but learned a valuable life lesson. Sometimes the best way to fix your mistakes is just covering everything in blood. You know, if there's nothing else that Quentin Tarantino has taught us, is that if you covered enough blood, you might just be an artist. So there you go. So here you go. This is our good friend Drago, and you know, I think folks sometimes blood can be a little distracting. I think it's hard to do well, but I think Brian, I think you did a very nice job on this one. Seth, your thoughts on blood?
Kind of the same thing. The two thoughts that I have as far as blood is that a lot of people think of it being red, and it is, but only when it's very fresh.
Mm-hmm.
So dried blood turns red pretty quickly. So using more of a brown and then individual streaks of red can often be very striking on a model and give you, again, that little bit more realistic sense. I'm not sure if it's my screen, but it looks like, Brian, you've got a little bit of yellowy orange mixed in with the red of the blood, and I'm not quite sure what that is. I think that if you could just work on that a little bit more, you'd have an absolutely amazing piece.
If I had to take a guess, I would say that this is probably GW's Blood for the Blood God, the technical paint, but I can't say that for certain, and I certainly would not want to put anything, any words in Brian's mouth. But I love Brian's purple Kador so much. I think it's just so good. Now this one, let's move on to Eris 1. This one just knocks my socks off. If you want a for me, and Seth, I'm not the painter you are. To me, this is OSL done really right. This is a lava base, or someone who's painting a lava base who has done it very, very well. And that is, you're seeing the rock that Eris is standing on, and why Eris has decided to stand on what appears to be where Anakin Skywalker bought it is anybody's guess. But the orange glow is really well done here, kind of coming up from the lava up to it. But where it is shaded from the glow of the lava, it's the gray kind of basalt kind of a feel to it. Seth, your thoughts?
I have to respectfully disagree a little bit.
Okay, that's fine.
That what I'm seeing when I'm looking at the base, you're absolutely right. Like, we have that sense of lava, we have that sense of light, very good control of where the OSL is on the base itself.
Mm-hmm.
I just wish I saw some of that also on Iris's cape.
Interesting.
That the light seems to magically stop at the base, at the top of the base, when it should still be hitting, especially on the dark underside of her cloak. We should still see some of that light.
Are you thinking
Mm-hmm.
over here on the where the tip is, especially? We should be seeing some of that.
On the tip, for sure. Also, if we're looking at the left picture, we've got the two little folds that sort of come out a little bit. That should also have a little bit of that yellowy red on the underside. And that's going to really bring, again, that realism. That's going to give you that sense that lava, it's not just orange rock. It is giving light. That everything should be hit by it a little bit.
Interesting. So there's a wee bit of a pro tip in there for you, Brian. Take a look at that. And, I think maybe he was thinking about maybe the light not getting quite up that high, but it's a fuck ton of lava around you. I mean, seriously, it burned off Anakin's legs, for God's sakes. There's a lot of lava to be had.
And I do want to say one other thing about this is that, Brian, you did an awesome job of the lining itself, where you've got the black armor with the bright white lining. That's a really tough thing to do. Technically, that's hard to keep that kind of control. And he's done a nice job of it without overplaying it, without making it distracting from the rest of the piece. That was really well done.
Really good work. Really good work. Gonzo, John, any thoughts?
I really dig the red cloak. I did a little bit of red for my Eris also, but his looks much better.
Red's hard to work with, no doubt about it. Cool. Let's move on to the next one. This is a couple. He calls this Juggies, and notice that there's no Fago anywhere in the picture. Here's his first model painted. This was his first model painted about a year ago, and the second Juggy painted perhaps 2 or 3 months ago. And you get them solids and stripes on the table. So you can see, folks, this is progression in painting. The one on the left is the new one. The one on the right is the more recent one. And look at all the interesting techniques that he's decided to include in the second one that he didn't in the first. Look at the strong highlighting on the corners here, and a little bit of shading that he didn't include in the original, because those are techniques that you kind of grow into. And he went with more of an ice axe on the right hand because he learned about, doing the dry brushing perhaps, and a little bit of this highlighting here on the blade. Really, this is a textbook in example of how one progresses in painting over time. John, your thoughts?
I really like the stripes in the second one, and I agree that it's a very good picturization of the progression. I'd like to see one that he did in the meantime, even just any jack they did between the two of them in the middle, so you can get a good idea of the progression.
Yeah. And Brian, there you go. There's your first submission for the next Brushhead Gallery, folks. We do this once a quarter, and there's an opportunity. Gonzo, any thoughts on this one?
I really like the progression, because I've started trying to up my game a little bit by highlighting like that, and it's hard. It's really difficult to get that type of highlight, especially on colors that are not, your standard. Like I love the purple. I love really colorful models like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's really good. I
For
like that
sure.
a lot.
For sure. Let's move on to the next one. We are taking our time. I know we've got a lot to get through, but we have almost another hour to go through here. So we're going to get through these folks, and we're going to have a good time. We're going to celebrate the wonderful job you guys are all doing. Brian also presented some of the models that terrify me the most. And folks, the reason I want to bring these to you is I love the basing job on these models. I particularly like the I-beam that is sticking up out of the ground. Seth, these are some Kayazi eliminators, and while I think they should be banned from the game, and as president for life of War Machine and Hordes, I will see to that as soon as possible. Jason Souls has my emails on these guys, and so Seth, your thoughts on some next steps for Brian on these models?
Okay, so what I want you to do, Brian, is take these models, put them in your case, and never take them out again. Just, I'm kidding. I figured out how to electroleap into these guys, so I'm not worried about them anymore. As far as the painting goes, the basing I think is really good because again, we're telling that story that we've got on one hand a street scene where there's a bit of blood on the ground, blood on the knife, and on the other, much more of a battle scene where the one eliminator is running up the I-beam. The I-beam looks like it's old, it's rusty, it's partly in the ground. You get this sense that they are sneaking through somewhere that they're not supposed to be, like the back lines of your opponent's army.
Yep, absolutely. And remember, folks, Kayazi Eliminators, just daughters of the flame without a purpose in life. Okay, so there you go. Brian.
Better rules.
Yep, exactly. Brian, Brian, we want to highlight you and thank you. You are our newest patron. And on behalf of John Spencer and myself, and of course Gonzo, our newest patron, hey, Ron.
Ron.
Thank you for supporting the show. We appreciate it very much. This is Kel Baylock, and this is a converted Kel Baylock. Get this. Conversion using First Mate Hawk as the base, parts of Kel Baylock, and a whole bunch of green stuff may have gone slightly overboard on the basing, and that is where I am going to disagree completely. I love this basing. Kel Baylock is a model, I believe, that has Prowl. John, correct me if I'm wrong on that.
You are correct.
Okay. And so here he is. He's got his own little trees that he's hanging out with. And I love it. He built a really neat jacket, used Kel's gun. I give this, I'm going to give this a full one shot of Kraken because anytime I see Kel Baylock, I need a little shot of Kraken to calm my nerves. Gonzo, give me your thoughts on this one.
I like the sculpting. I like when people take and mix and match models and make them look like they're supposed to for the game and still make them like legal.
Yep.
My one concern is if I was playing against it, that there's a little too much tree, but I like the style.
Yeah. Yep. I can see that. It might be a little bit. What's that going on over there? Is that like a piece of terrain moving around or what's going on there? I understand that completely. John, your thoughts?
I think the autumnal colors of the trees is a little much. It distracts from the model. When it first popped up, I had to go out of my way to figure out what it was. But I mean, looks very good. But I think as far as it's a little distracting, the very bright colors. So, I'd like to have seen it in more standard, spring summer colors.
So just a pro tip out there to all the brushheads and cronies, remember, check page 334 of your Painting with Menoth John loyalty reward book for the word autumnal. Autumnal is the magic word of today. So let's move on here to the reason I picked these now, folks, when you send pictures to the Brushhead Gallery, sometimes I have to make certain choices because I'm very lazy and sometimes you send me so much that I can't hardly process it all. But this I had to show. Folks, this is the definition of an amazing conversion. What you have here is Sorsha 2 laying the beat down on, let's see, the base model is Nicaea, with some Sorsha elements, green stuff to it. I feel like I owe Urisk to an apology, however, for saying this flag is too top-heavy. So, I love this model. It is... There's so much character in this. Seth, I want to hear your thoughts on this conversion.
Weight your base. It is time to get some fishing weights and some super glue and make this a little less top heavy. I think it is great. Wonderful motion. You get the moment of Sorsha as she is just finishing her arc and starting to go the other way. I'm trying to figure out what model it is that she is crushing, though.
You know, I've been trying to figure that out, too, while looking at this. John, do you have any thoughts on this one?
No, I've been trying. It's a troll blood. It looks like he's got a scroll in his hand.
Really?
Or a cannon?
He's barefoot. No, that's a scroll case. I think it's got rope around the middle. It doesn't look like a cannon. I mean, it could be a cannon. It could not even be an actual War Machine model.
So, Brian,
I'm wondering if it's it almost looks like it might be a GW mashup.
So,
Black Ogren guy. It's a Black Ogren boarding party. Good call. Good
call.
Nice.
Outstanding call on that one. Brian, thank you very much for bringing this to us. And then over here, we've got some Winter Guard that we understand are totally trash, and you should just throw them in the garbage. And
they don't have long rifles.
They're fucking garbage. Throw them in the garbage. And then Saxon Auric, who you should also throw in the garbage. So
I believe his name is actually Saxon motherfucking Auric, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right, so there we have it from Brian Latour, our newest patron. Thank you very much for Brian. We super appreciate you doing here. Now, I have been waiting the whole show to pronounce this particular gentleman's name. Pierre Trodak. So, nothing says awesome like Foxy Brown. And Pierre Trodak, otherwise known as Nemlock, thank you very much. Here we have, of course, our good friend Jaga Jaga. I have one more minion model to paint, and Jaga Jaga is it. And I'm going to take a lot of inspiration from this model. To be honest, we got our undead Tetzel worm. We've got ourselves a little snake going on there, and looking like she's giving a little bit of the hip there. Jaga Jaga, she's giving all the alluring. So. Gonzo, your thoughts on Jaga Jaga?
I think that model is an extremely hard to paint because there's so much detail in the model, like the flesh and the skin being torn away from the snake and the inside part. So I'm always really happy when I see people paint that model because it's a difficult model to paint. So kudos to him.
Yep, absolutely. Seth, your thoughts? Maybe one way to plus this particular model up.
Because it is such a busy model, the thing I would love to see is a little bit of dark lining. Traditionally, people talk about using black lining where they thin down black paint and maybe add a little black ink. But as long as you just come up with a color that is darker than the darkest color in a section, you can create some nice definition. You sort of see it in the stomach panels between the side, but then the snake is wrapping around, and that's not actually Jaga Jaga's hip. So to make a mix of black and blue ink and a little bit of maybe battlefield brownish, dark brown, and then just put a thin line all the way around that snake edge would help differentiate the different pieces and make, again, everything just like really amazing on the table.
Well, another thing, Seth, that I'm hearing you say here is that perhaps it would be a good suggestion to make Jaga Jaga's base color a different color than the base color of the Tetzel worm.
I think that also needs to happen, but the dark lining is a good thing for this all the way around because it would help with the differentiation on the feathers. It would help with the other snake that is not the same color.
Yep.
Where you actually see it accidentally, or maybe purposely, I can't talk for Pierre, is on the snake around Jaga Jaga's neck.
Yes.
Where it's a much different color, and you do get that darkest shade all the way around the edge, and it pops. It looks great.
Yep. Really, really love that extra snake action going on there. Good job on that one.
I think the Tetzel worm and her skin tone are actually different enough. If they do line it like Seth says, it would actually stand out very well.
The other thing, folks, that you need to keep in mind when we talk about the Brushhead Gallery is that these are pictures, and our folks, you're doing a lovely job taking pictures. But sometimes, no matter how good the picture is, some of the what you see in front of you gets lost. And so, John, what you were just bringing out, where the color contrast may not be as high, that is still something that could be a leftover of the photographic process.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So I want to get to the next picture, and this is Imperatus. And folks, this is a beautiful Imperatus. I've always been a fan of the dark, kind of almost Tron-like color scheme for Retribution. And literally, I'm a fan of almost every color scheme that is not the studio for Retribution. And I really love the thermal blade sort of treatment on this one. I really love the dark gray black, because black is so very infrequently black. And this really picks up a lot on the blue grays. And then the turquoise that Pierre has chosen for the power nodes and the power lines, top notch. Really, really like it. And really love the small applications of bright red, because they give a little bit of they break up the model that brings a little bit of variety to it. Really love it. Seth, you're playing Retribution right now. Thoughts on this Imperatus?
The thing that actually jumped out to me was not the paint scheme itself. It's the difference between the satin finish and the glossy base.
Yeah, I love that glossy base.
Which I thought was a really neat choice.
And it gives you almost kind of like a polymer feel to the whatever it is that's standing on it. And it gives it something that I've not seen. There's a translucency to the base that is not easy to actually make happen. And Pierre seems to have nailed it hard.
Mm-hmm.
So, Gonzo, your thoughts on Imperatus?
I'm going to ban him from the game permanently. So we're going to go with that off the bat.
He is a low-cost colossal.
Yes, he is. He's super good. I really like it. When I played Red, mine were bright neon green, but I do like the dark black, grayish look to it, and the blue lines. Because I know they can be real tedious, because if it gets out, then you got to repaint that black.
Yeah.
So I really like that a lot. That's really nice.
Pierre, knocking it out of the park. Thank you so much for that. Okay, now there's some hack named Robert Tarevsky.
That guy.
This guy has no fucking idea how to paint. You'll notice here he's painting red, which is one of his core colors. Red and green. He's got those two going for him.
He did some straight lines too.
Yeah, straight lines. This guy, he had a straight line on this model going all the way from here to fucking Amsterdam. This guy, it's a Man of War something.
Is that the UA?
Yeah, it's the UA.
It's the UA.
Okay, yeah. That's the UA that people told me existed. I didn't know.
Yeah, thank you for saving me on that one. Robert he's good at this painting shit, no matter what anybody says.
He should start a business or something.
Yeah, no, right. If I was him, I'd call it Flight Medic Painting. And
that's a good call. I like that.
I like that. It's fucking good. I should be in marketing and shit. This guy, he has control of several paints at the same time: the red, the green, straight lines, curved lines. He's liable to paint shit using transcendental meditation, I understand. So he's big on that shit. He's got the yoga, and he used all of it on this one. What do you think about the use of yoga in your painting there, Seth?
I recommend it at all times.
Oh, yeah. I knew you'd be on my side on this one. In all honesty, folks, Robert Tarevsky's a hell of a guy. He's a hell of a painter. He's a hell of a photographer. This is really, really well done. Love the fact that it has some eye definition, which is something you don't always think about when you think about the Man of War shock troopers. Your thoughts on? I'm going to ask Seth on this one, because I'm not sure that John or Gonzo or I are qualified to comment on painting of this quality.
Oh, we can always comment.
It's fucking good. They're moving on. Seth, your thoughts?
I think very good. Robert and I are buddies. He actually helps me when I have photography problems, so I'm glad to give him some feedback. I love the reds. I like how dark they get, that there is good contrast. But I do feel like that contrast could be pushed more throughout the model. If you look at his axe head, it gets brilliantly bright, which is awesome. Like, that's the kind of thing that you're really looking for. I'd love to see that on the shoulder pads, on the head, on the cowl, on the shield. Again, bringing that more clear, focused light onto the model would just crank this up just that little notch more. But other than that, I think it's very solid.
When you're painting a red like this and you're going for those deep recesses where you're looking to shade, how do you, in general, accomplish that?
So first, if I'm going to paint red, I get out a beer because this is going to take a while.
Good man.
Step one, beer.
We are so
Step one,
karmically
you gotta
aligned,
get a
I don't
beer.
even know what to do about it. So, okay, step two.
Step two, what I typically do to get like a bright fire engine red is base coat and a bright fire engine red, and then create my highlights all the way up through pink and flesh tones to almost white,
Mm-hmm.
and then glaze it all with red ink. Then to create
Interesting.
the shadows, I use a mix of red ink and then a little bit of blue ink, and then I use a little bit of turquoise ink in the very deepest shadows, and it creates a much more realistic red. For whatever reason, red pigment is really hard to work with, and it doesn't create the kinds of reds we tend to think about. Red as a paint has a lot of translucency, and because of that, you've got to do some very unusual things to make red do what you want it to do.
So I suck at red, and so what I'm going to do is that John Madrano, good friend of mine from Utah, now lives in Iowa, gave me an entire Kador army, and I think it would behoove me to learn how to paint red finally. So
Okay.
I'm going to commit on the podcast to paint some Kador and to utilize some of that technique you just described to try to get at some of these different techniques. Maybe I can help teach Brushhead Nation a little bit more about painting red, which would, I think, is a good goal to give to the community.
Mhm.
Here you go, and this is a beautiful model here. Got a little barbarian action going on here. Beautiful. It's D&D miniature. I may or may not have this in my display case right now. This was a gift to me for Christmas time from Robert. He's an amazing guy, one of the better human beings in the community. And I'm going to tell you what, I'm going to play me some D&D with this guy just to F some people up. Badass, Robert.
I love the snow base, but that's one of his specialties.
Oh, yeah, that's kind of his thing, isn't it?
Yeah, and he does it well.
Yep. So let's move on here. Now we got a little up. Now this is from Matthew Antosh. Really appreciate your contribution here, Matthew. We have here a Greylord Turnian, and what Matthew wanted to point out was he used some of the GW Crackle paint, which is one of their technical paints, to create that ice effect, and then painted it blue because I believe that Crackle is kind of a yellowish color. And he used it with a little bit of some glazing and some dry brushing to give him a very effective ice type of an effect. And I really, really like this. Good job, Matthew.
Yeah, I
Nicely
really like the
done.
base.
Gonzo, what are your thoughts on this?
I like the bases a lot. I like snow bases.
Mhm.
And I like to see the different ways people do snow bases,
Mhm.
because some people use, the crushed glass, or some people use, like I use baking soda and glue and paint
Mhm.
for my snow bases. So I like to see snow bases and how people do different snow bases.
One of the things, I guess, that I would like to see Matthew try is these bases are very amazing, but because the ice effect continued so far down onto the base itself, I guess I like a little bit of the contrast between a hard black and the rest of the base. So, and that's just a personal preference thing. So maybe, when you're thinking about that, think about those contrasts, but showing off the base between that and the model to give it some separation. I might, Seth, you've been in more painting competitions than I have. Is that something that judges look for or not?
So, true story.
Mm-hmm.
Went to War Machine Weekend about 5 years ago, and Ron Cruzy was the head judge, and I was asking him if I should put something in, and it was a gaming piece, and it had a plastic base. It was pretty good. It was definitely the best thing I'd done to that point. And he looked at it, he looked at me, and he said, and I quote, "Don't you dare put this shit in the game, in the case." He's like, "This is not appropriate."
Wow.
When you're doing, yeah, he just read me the riot act. And what he essentially said was, once he had gotten that out of his system, gave me amazingly good feedback, which was, you have to make a decision with your base. Are you telling a story with your base? Or are you making it a gaming base? If you're making it a gaming base, make sure that you got clear black lines, make sure that you have cleaned it up nicely, and that it works well for the game. If you're going to put it in for competition, you want to think about how to tell the story that this piece exists in, that it's a very different way of thinking about it. So like your Gatorman piece where he's coming out of the water, I love that. Sorry, not the Gatorman, the wrestler.
Yeah.
But when the wrestler's coming out of the water, you've got this sense that there's a lot more going on. And this particular models that we're looking at, you're not quite sure which way it's going. Is this a gaming piece where it needs to have those edges a little bit clearer? You can use some arc marks. Or is this a piece where we're trying to get that real sense of how cold it is and it's coming down over the edges? It's just a matter of committing to what's going on. And if you're going to go to a competition, being ready to bring out something that tells a wonderful story, something that pushes people to do more, and something that gets a great reaction.
And in my opinion, what Matthew has done with these models is maybe more towards telling the story. And in that respect, it's very effective because that freezing is happening literally everywhere on the base. So very effective in that respect.
Yeah, what I would like to see is the same thing, just carried down a little bit more consistently, and I think it would be incredibly powerful.
Excellent. Matthew went on the next slide to go ahead and show us a little bit of this is a converted Butcher 1 into a Butcher 3 using some real circle Arguses instead of the ones that come in the box. So, once again, folks, this is another situation where I think that, Matthew, I think this is one to grow on, kind of. The blood is a little bit maybe overstated and not maybe as effective as it might otherwise be. And the other thing that I think that might be one to grow on this one is the use of gloss varnishes. Sometimes, I use when I'm doing the varnishes on my models. What I tend to do is if I want to kind of even things out, is I like to use a lot of Vallejo brush-ons. So I use their matte varnish and their gloss varnish, but I use it on a 10 parts of matte to 1 part gloss just to help preserve some of the color saturation. I think that these are maybe a little bit shiny, and it could be a trick of the camera, but do be cautious of using the glaze varnishes. But excellent. I mean, the conversions and stuff like that are really super cool, and it's fun to see like a Mark 1 Butcher 1 turned into a Butcher 3. John, your thoughts?
Oh yeah, I definitely like it. I didn't even notice till you mentioned that it was a conversion. Looking at it, I can see where he did convert the Circle Argus and the Butcher. It's good.
Yep. Gonzo, your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I like that too. The Arguses from Circle are really cool, and I agree with you. And sometimes it's a personal choice, but I don't like shiny varnish on miniatures, especially when it's all over. If it's certain parts, like example, your
Swamp Horror?
Swamp Horror, that's understandable. But yeah, I like the dull finish, especially on the base.
Yep.
But like I said, it could be the light, but that's what it looks like.
Yep. Now let's move on to a new contributor. This is Nico Nieminen, and these are some spectacular models, and I want Seth to comment on these a lot. You know, folks, I think the hallmark of a really effective score. First off, these are showing amazing photography skills as well as amazing painting skills. Seth, your thoughts on these particular blood runners?
I think that this is a great example of why dark lining works so well.
Mm-hmm.
But the reason why the metals pop is that they've got the dark line that really bring that out, that shine and that highlight. Same with the reds. I think good color selection. I also like that the shading makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
That the areas that are recessed and shaded kind of uniformly and appropriately, and it comes back out. It's obvious that Nico spent some time on these, and they really look good.
Oh, Nico, I so much appreciate you contributing. I know this is your first contribution, and I really hope that this is the beginning of a lot of contributions from you here on the Brushhead Gallery. Let's move on to the next one. There's a lot of reasons I don't play Scorn, but one of the main reasons is these little guys. I can't, Tubby, he's got... he shouldn't be having these little fellas working this hard. I have to tell you, though, that these are some of the most agonizing-looking agonizers I've. Did somebody just die on our stream?
No, apparently my wife just got home from walking the dog, and he's a little excited.
Oh, well, we love dogs. My dog is farting like a beast over here. I'm surprised I'm still alive, to be honest.
I'll pray for you.
Please do. These agonizers are about as agonizing as it looks, and Tubby could not possibly look more Tubby. But the thing I want to talk about a little bit here is black ain't black, folks. And this is a great example of how to do black as a color on a miniature really, really well. Seth, I want to get your reaction, but then I'd also like to open it up to John and Gonzo as well.
Yeah, I think much like the previous pieces, very solid, very good. Like the blacks, I like the tones that he's bringing it up to. If you look at the red on Tubby all the way on the right, the center chest plate goes up to that pink, and then he's actually brought it back down to the reds. Good.
Yes.
The two things that I would suggest to make this even just a little bit better is glaze some reds into the shadows of the face, and then highlight the face up just a little bit more than the chest and shoulders so that we know where to look on the model.
Yeah.
Other than that, spectacular.
Nice. Gonzo, your thoughts?
I really like the reds. Reds are such a pain in the butt to paint, and especially to get a good contrast of the shadows and the deepness, especially like on his skirt, I guess you want to call it. My only thing is the base. It seems like it's missing a little bit, like a few more tufts would really make it stand out, because it's like the middle picture. It just looks kind of bland at the bottom. So, I mean, I'm sure he's probably going for like a desert type thing, so it's very little vegetation. But I think if you put like one more tuft, it would be really good.
I agree. John, your thoughts?
I also agree. As one of the things I was going to point out is I actually feel like some rocks or something, just a little bit more on the base.
Yeah.
Would help. But actually, I think that even aside from that, these are a way to show how even minimalistic bases can work, because they do work pretty well. And then the other thing I was thinking of, my brain stopped.
Oh,
I really like the black lining, like Seth said.
Yep.
How you don't even notice it till he brings it up, and then you're like, oh shit, he did black line that. Holy moly.
For me, the golds. I love how he made the golds and how he brought them up so high with a lot of there's some silvers to be seen in there. I just love that on golds. And it's one of the reasons why I enjoy painting gold so much. So there's so many good things. And one thing I will notice in the center picture, the little purple bit of cloth in there. Just a little something, something. And that's what I love about that. Is a little something, something on this one. So good job on this one, Nico. Nico submitted a lot of very beautiful scorn. And I wasn't able to include all of it. And we're going to have to kind of pick up the pace here a little bit. But once again, these are the fuckheads of Halak, whoever they are.
Yeah. They have much more interesting bases. I think that actually is a good way to go for him.
Yep. So these guys, they'll knock the shit out of you. Don't just ask me. Then we've got this guy, who is another
That's
Scorn.
Dash.
Yeah, sure. Zadesh.
Zadesh too.
I can't. Zadesh too. I can't keep track of all this stuff.
I like
He's-
the base on that too. The little bit of rocky bigger rock, and it helps a lot.
Yep.
I think you can tell this is a later model than the other ones.
Yep.
Mhm.
Seth, what are your thoughts on this one? Anything you'd plus up or take away from this one?
I think a lot of the same things that you guys have been saying, as well as what we said before. Good reds, good use of the dark lining. The golds are great that they go up to silver. But yeah, the base I feel like needs just a tiny bit more love. One of the tips that I got from Dallas Kemp is that when you're using cork as a base, like he is here, you never want to know exactly where the level is of the cork. So you always want to take that off so you don't have a perfectly flat space anywhere, or at least not when at 90 degrees to the lip of the base, because it looks just a little bit artificial.
Got it.
So yeah, taking off that corner a little bit more, making it angled a little bit more will really push that, to that next level.
The next slide, I included an awful lot of Nico's stuff because Scorn is so beautiful to look at when it's well done, and Nico has done a beautiful job with these. This is the Siege Animatrix, and the thing I want to point out is the lower right left-hand picture, the floor in the basket where the pokey sticks are. He's done a lot of care and feeding to that Scorn logo that's sitting where basically nobody gives a damn.
Yeah.
Nobody gives a damn about that. And he's not only done the black and the red, he's highlighted and blended it. And that's crazy talk, folks.
That's really good.
This is a beautiful Siege Animatrix. Did beautiful job on the stone piece and its tail. All the golds are highlighted very high and brought to lots of interesting oranges in the armor. This is a showpiece, folks. This is really, really beautiful. Seth, your thoughts?
I like the big choice that Nico made with the armor plates, not smoothing them out on the outside, choosing to emphasize the shape, giving them a little extra oomph all the way around.
Yep.
But the golding edging just goes that extra mile. I think that's awesome.
I think this is his strongest piece. I really do. This is dramatic. Man, this makes me want to get out there and play some Scorn. We have a Titan Cannoneer here. You know, Cannoneers need all the love they can get. You know,
Absolutely.
the agonizers that have been agonized the most become Cannoneers. That's just how it works, and it's too bad for them. But this is a beautiful Cannoneer. Love the back plates. Love the dark reds to the very, very deep colors. A lot of character in the face of the Cannoneer. It just looks a little sad to me. There you go. What are your thoughts there, Seth?
I would like to know if Nico took this in slightly different light, because I'd like to know if the reds match, because the scene feels a little bit different, but I'm wondering if it's also maybe an earlier piece.
Yeah.
I like it a lot. Yeah, you get to see a lot of the same things, the golds going up to the silvers, very good, very well done gems. And it looks like he's even gloss coated the gems, which again makes them look a little bit more realistic, maybe.
Yeah. Gut tells me that this is probably different lighting than what he'd done on the other ones.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it looks like it's less actual light on this one.
Yeah.
Let's move on to the next one. This is a new contributor to the Brushhead Gallery. This is Shane Germain. And Shane actually had some very interesting things that he wanted to talk about. And to get some specific advice from you, Seth, this entire army is designed to be monochromatic, with the blood presenting in much like a Sin City kind of a feel to it, a contrast piece. So what he wanted to do, and he talked, I'm sorry that I didn't copy these off, but he went through an entire process of how he got this effect, but would love to know and get your advice, Seth, on this picture and on subsequent pictures where you would take it up to the next level. So this here obviously is a what the hell do they call this thing?
Gorax.
A Gorax, whatever. the much worse version of the Gorax, and that is not like pulling a stone. Seth, your thoughts?
If we were to take this back to the zenithal shading that we talked about a couple weeks ago,
Yeah.
what is missing and is really necessary for monochromatic schemes is very bright highlights and very, very dark shadows. And he's getting those dark shadows if you look at the oblique muscles that
Yes.
go down to that black. But the face never gets up to that white. Sorry, horse running in.
That's okay.
He never quite gets up to that white on the face, and that's where I would push that, is so that there's a clear focus, and you can then see then also that difference between the very bright and the very dark.
So especially on the cheekbone, the eyebrow, the nose itself, and then maybe somewhere down here towards the jawline.
I think on a typical model, yes. This one, because of the pose he's in, a little bit different.
Okay.
But he's also got the blood in the way. I think, yeah, it's looking good. I'm going to pause for a moment and put the dog in the bedroom so he stops charging back and forth.
Please do. That's fine.
Pardon me.
That's fine. So Seth has walked away, and here we see on the next page we see Chromac, and this is more to folks. It's a bold move, Cotton. This monochromatic scheme is a bold move. John, your thoughts?
I think actually it would look tons better in person.
Yeah.
It's just he's got a gray background in this particular picture, so it looks a little worse. And
Not-
then what Seth said with the bringing the head up, the face up more would actually help too.
And the fact that he has Christmas lights in the background, a little distracting.
Yeah, but I feel like actually those look way better on the feed because then you get that good contrast between the green or brown, whatever you're playing on, and him.
And I think that the blood in this case is actually really appropriate because it gives you that Sin City feel.
Yeah,
And-
it does. I really like it. It's a good stylistic choice.
Yep, absolutely. Gonzo, I'd love to get your thoughts on this one as well.
Yeah, I think it would probably look a whole lot better in person and on the table, especially because photographing miniatures is such a pain in the butt to get them to look right. And I'd like to see that, at a tournament or something and see what it looks like.
Yep.
Because it is a bold choice to do the monochrome on it.
Yep. Shane, I can't thank you enough for sharing these with us because this is a technique we don't often talk about or see on this show. So the next model is, of course, Wrong Eye and Snapjaw. And what's interesting about this
tell
monochrome?
the difference a lot better on this one with it's got better light on this one, so you can tell the definition better.
Yep. And I'm picking up a little bit of a green vibe in the color, which is super legit. That is what you expect from a gator. Is you expect that little bit of greeniness to it. And man, this is so well done. And this I think is very effective in the use of the blood and very effective in the use of the red. Shane, these are beautiful models, and man, if you ever decide to get rid of them, let me know.
Yeah, a good hat on Wrong Eye on a Snapshot too.
Yeah, I like the hat too.
Yes. Gators with
I'm with
hats.
you guys.
What's that? Go ahead, Seth.
I'm sorry. I'm back.
Yep.
Yeah, I was saying I'm with you guys. I think that this is a much better pair of models as far as the photos go. I also just want to especially shout out Shane highlighting the crest of the gators so high that you do get that very bright color. And I would love to see that come down on the snout a little bit more too. But yeah, real good.
I love this. This is like looking at old time black and white. Back in the day before there. No, I'm gonna date the shit out of myself, because I remember when there wasn't a thing called color television, and this is what black and white really looked like.
So when you were what 42?
Go fuck yourself. Anyway, moving on to the next one, jackass. So Pat Badminton, otherwise known as Dracos Dragoon in the chat room, has sent us some cool stuff, and I love this stuff because he has put a lot of love into some of the conversion on this one. And we're going to highlight a couple of the models on here, and we're going to especially pay attention to that. I believe it's a bouncer on the left-hand side, and then
Bouncer there, yeah.
The winter troll on the right-hand side.
Yeah, the Winter Troll is too legit.
So
that's super awesome.
he gets his own picture, but I want to highlight the fact that Gaming with the Cooler donated the shield on the left-hand side. It's also known as a Templar. But anyway, let's move on to the next slide, and that shows the Winter Troll, which I think if this was the actual model, would be the best model ever.
He don't need no spray with that model. He looks like a super legit stab you and block with that ice shield. That's super awesome. That needs to be a character Winter Troll now.
Yes, +2 armor and at least +1 POW strength on that arm over there.
Yep.
Really like it. Folks, if you're looking for some guidance on where simple dry brushing can take you in a technique, this is a really, really interesting photo to show you. A lot of what makes that ice effect what it is being bold with your choices on a dry brush and showing where those little facets are in the ice. On this, one of the reasons I enjoyed putting Pat's pictures up on here also is that he's very bold with his conversions. Here we have a Bokur where he's taken that flimsy pole arm that he has and turned it into a couple of bones. Who doesn't like that? This is like the Skeletor of the Bokur world. Gonzo, your thoughts?
I really like his conversions that he's got on here. It fits the model. Changing the shield up to that looks like a grave headstone or a coffin coffin.
Yeah, it almost looks
is
like
really
coffin.
cool.
Yeah, super sweet.
I really like that a lot. Yeah, it's really cool.
Seth, some thoughts on next leveling this particular couple of models?
I love them. I love the conversions. I love that some big choices have been made.
Bold.
One really simple thing you could do. I'm looking at the Skeletor Bokur. You've got a bunch of chipping. Put a black line on the top edge of that chipping. It'll make it pop out even more and look like the paint is lifting up.
Boom.
It's a really simple thing to do. Really looks great.
Yeah, boom. Nailed it. Now, this one from Pat Badminton Drekos. I love this model. The hair of the shield going up onto the rest of its body. Guys, this is artistry right here. Really love this. The creating of the smoke coming out of the smokestack. So much story going on. Love this particular model.
Yeah, I do too. I like that hair. It's just really cool.
Yeah,
John-
the shield's very cool. I like that a lot.
Yep. Really
I'm
super.
the weird guy who can't get over the smokestack. I think that's a great example of good OSL.
Yeah, I've got a model that has been painted for me before, and who had done something like this with the smoke. That smoke is legit, folks. Experiment with it. Put that little bit of rod out there. Use your green stuff. Create that smoke. It's a big deal. These are coal-fired warjacks, folks. Now, hey, this is something very exciting from Tel'Kazar, otherwise known as Carrie Snow. This guy was absent from last time, but he's back and better than ever. A lot of interesting models for us to look at from Tel'Kazar. We are going to move on to the second slide right away, and this model looks more Jade than anything that I've ever seen before.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah.
I don't know what to do with all this. I mean, I assume that this is a GW model, probably Tomb King or something like that.
I think it is.
But
Yeah.
the way that he pulled off the colors on this, it literally looks like any kind of Jade statue that I've ever seen. Does anybody have any thoughts on this one?
I really like it. I like that you can see the modeling of the green underneath the gloss, and that the gloss varnish is doing exactly what it's supposed to do, creating a cohesive look
Yeah.
and making it look like stone. Really well done.
So Egyptian looking. Oh, so good. Carrie, now this is your I believe this is Chromac 2?
Mhm.
And
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. One of the things that I would advise you, Carrie, to take a little look at, and this is something that maybe you want to think about for the future, is that a lot of your models tend to be very glossy. And while I think it was very appropriate in the Jade, this might be one to kind of tone it down just a tiny little bit. And this one, I think, goes a little bit far with the blood as well. So what I think, Carrie, would be a great thing to do would be to go back to episode 135, where we talk about some of the zenithal shading and look at doing some glazes, because sometimes these paints can get a little bit thick, and I think this is something that might be one to grow on. Well, I think that the dry brushing on the fur really helped kind of sell that a little bit. It might be one to kind of thin the paints out a little bit on some of these and go with the zenithal shading to help kind of sell some of the light to dark on it. Is it Seth? Do you think that's a fair speak to this one?
I think so. I also want to really suggest, before you start painting, think about the colors that you're using a little bit, because I'm looking at Chromac 2, the left picture where we see his sort of flank, and his skin is yellowy green. The hide that he's wearing on his back is yellowy green. His loincloth is green. A little bit more variety in those choices of colors will, again, make those elements stand out more and make the model a little bit more clear when it's on the tabletop.
I understand that. So what you're looking for is a lit to help kind of separate the different regions of the model into different color zones.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. On here we have a Gorax again and a Warpwolf Stalker. My number one advice on the Warpwolf Stalker is to throw it away, because that's a terrible model with terrible rules that should never be played. And the Gorax, you don't need one of those either. Essentially, throw your whole faction away, because Circle's terrible and nobody should ever play it ever. But
That's one of my armies.
well, you can fix that. Here we look at
Kador.
exactly. Here we look at the Gorax, and I think that some of the things we've talked about in some of the other models are evident here as well. I do want to highlight the musculature on the Warpwolf Stalker. I think that there's some really good work there to help kind of really show some of the depth of the musculature of that Warpwolf. Good job on this one, Carrie. What are your thoughts, Gonzo?
I have a question. If the flash was a big part of a lot of the lighting and gloss look to this,
Yes.
it'd be interesting to see if this wasn't taken, in like a light studio, or lights from different angles, because I mean, there's really a lot of white washout on it, and it looks like a flash washout, not a gloss washout, because especially saying that it was unsealed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So here's what I'm going to do for y'all. I'm going to reach out to Flight Medic, because he's one of the best photographers I know. And I have enough flexibility in the production studio down here that I think I can do some do a bit of a clinic on photography while from here at Casa John. So we'll reach out to him, and maybe, Carrie, this is something that we can look at to work on, because I do agree with you, Gonzo. I think there's more flash here than what we would normally expect. We got to step up the pace a little bit. Oh, here's a hack. His name is Seth Watkins.
Oh, this guy's horrible.
This guy can't fucking paint at all.
Terrible.
I think he bribed to get his award this year at War Machine Weekend.
It's basically
Gonzo, you got a hug at War Machine Weekend. I don't want to hear about this. We are the cover of War Machine Weekend's Facebook page.
That's right, bitches.
Yeah, I don't know who you blew to get the best sportsman or whatever the fuck award you got this year, Gonzo. But whatever, whatever works for you. You like the taste of cum, that's good for you.
Damn, protein, baby. Protein.
Nothing but protein. All right, so PG, totally PG. This guy.
Yeah. About that.
Seth, this is beautiful and dramatic, and some of the best reds I've ever seen. This is
Everyone loves geckos. Everyone loves them.
Well,
Yeah, I did these as a commission for a guy, and I had to actually talk him into. He wanted everything to be black and gray and off gray and like very military. And I talked him into this idea of the black that goes into the red. But if you look at the back of this gecko, you can see where the highlight colors are actually pinks and flesh tones. And it's got a little bit of that red in there.
Man, it's so beautiful.
And I love the geckos. I can't wait to get mine together and actually not paint them like I not paint everything.
Seth, I hope you learn how to paint someday. Here's
someday.
Yeah, this is this another gecko?
Yep, it's the other one out of the box.
Okay, 9 out of 10 Geico insurance users. No idea what the fuck this is. So there you go. It's God, it's beautiful.
It's a light tag. It's made for boarding actions. Small hallways, small tag.
Yep, and you've got black that's not black. You've got the highlights that are all the way up to white. Even on the reds, it's up to white. Seth, you do not suck at painting. I'm just gonna put that out there.
Can I humble brag about one thing on this guy?
Sure.
Not for nothing, Seth, but you can use it on your website. Menoth John says you do not suck at this painting thing.
That's gonna be the second tagline. You ship it, I'll paint it. I'll paint your shit. That's gonna be the first one.
I'll paint the shit out of anything you ask me to.
Yeah. So people always get to this point in painting where they feel like their model sucks or they've made a horrible mistake, and they're like, "What do I do now?" On the right picture on the back, you see the light of the shoulder and then the cast light on the actual back piece.
Yep.
Uh-huh.
That was a mistake. That's what happens when your dog bumps you while you're painting.
Shut the fuck up.
Horrible fluorescent green paint on the shoulder.
Oh, shut the fuck up.
I have two choices. I can either find a way to make this work, or I can redo that entire panel. And so
Seth, there are no mistakes, only happy little accidents.
Well, my happy little accident is a 75-pound lab named Java.
I have a 65-pound boxer dog that's a complete fucking mistake, and I can't even describe what she is making this room smell like right now. Her name's Zaza, but this is amazing. Oh my god, that is so beautiful. Because, ladies and gentlemen, you want to talk about reflection and OSL? That is it done just beautifully. Oh, so good, Seth. I hope you learn how to paint someday. Congo the Jorgamond, this is your first contribution. I love this. Now, this is, I believe, Joan of Arc?
It is?
Oh, I got one right. Yay, me.
Amazeballs.
I didn't even know Congo played Infinity.
Well, now we do. Congo, thank you so much for sending this thing in. Just beautiful. Joan of Arc, she was all about letting them eat cake. I'm pretty sure that was her. So there you go.
History with Menoth John.
I should do a history with Menoth John show. Ladies and gentlemen, we are so happy to have Barry Holmes back in the house. Brave Bomb, in case you're wondering. This is an Angel of Death figure from some game that I'm unfamiliar with. Really cool. I love the fact that he's integrated a very Egyptian feel with a very not Egyptian weapon.
Yeah.
So
it's very cool. I don't even know what game it's from, but color me interested.
Not for nothing, but the look on its face, it reminds me of mimes. And that's why we should all be scared of mimes, because they have wings and horrible weapons that will kill your shit while standing in amongst purple rocks. So there you go. Fear the mime.
Well, I wasn't scared of mimes before.
Oh, you should be. You should be fucking terrified.
Apparently.
Fuck those guys. And then Barry, this is from another game that I don't remember, and I should have printed out his email if I was a decent host. But I love the pose this model is in, and it looks like he wants to rip off parts of your body.
And then shoot you with a giant cannon.
Yes. None of this can be good for the person who is at the end of any of that. Seth, your thoughts on this particular model?
Good color selection, very clean paint job. I like that there is some dark lining. I think that could be carried throughout the rest, but yeah, I think it's a very again, very good tabletop model.
I'm super enthused that Barry came back to us and put these things in here. I know Barry's life got very, very challenging there for a little while, but Rave Bomb, you're one of the originals, and we're super happy to have you here. Thank you very much for sending this model in. And nothing would be complete without something from John Snodgrass. This guy, this is from a model that he painted, some high school girls with a shovel assassin thing. Totally not anything that would make one worry about John at all. So, really like the hair on this one.
The
It's
shovel is the perfect weapon. You kill them, then you bury them.
That's
it's
right.
all in one.
in a miniskirt. So there you go. Love this one. Turns out John Snodgrass probably needs none of our suggestions because that guy is completely and totally legit. This one, though, I want to talk about this one a bit. We have a work in progress butcher. Very beautiful.
Mhm.
Good job. And then,
Yeah.
folks, if you're not reposing your Mog, you're doing it wrong. And this is a beautiful Mog. That Mog,
Yeah, that Mog is crazy good.
that Mog
Mhm.
is fixing to F you up. And that is a wonderful pose. Seth, your thoughts on the work in progress Mog?
I like everything I see about it. John, keep sending me stuff. I want to see how this one goes.
Yeah, for sure. John, I hope that you will present us with some last minute sort of ones on that one. And then I can't, nope, this is leftover. Oh, this is all shit I forgot to get rid of. So none of these, so we're done. It would help if I actually paid attention to what I was sending you guys for presentations. Let's get over here to the face cam. Boom. Folks, that's Brushhead Gallery for this year, for this quarter, I guess. Man, some really wonderful submissions this time. Really appreciate everybody that submitted things this quarter. Top-notch work, everybody. Hey, Ron.
Ron.
Uh,
All right, so
You know what the best part of all that is?
what's that, Gonzo?
People are painting their miniatures.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's amazing. And people are sending them to us so we don't have to think of any kind of content for an entire fucking episode. It's amazing.
Oh, I was waiting for the text. What are we going to talk about?
We're going to talk about other people's shit and whatever John watched as a movie this week. So we're
What
going
I
to
watched this movie this week. Oh,
we're going to run a little bit long tonight, and that's okay because I don't want to cut off John from having a media section. John, what do you got for us
We'll
this week?
start with Chappie is not available for streaming everywhere, but we can get it really cheap on DVD or Blu-ray, so we may look into that.
Okay, so
See
Gonzo, I'm willing to get that on DVD if you are.
Oh, I own the Blu-ray because I love it.
All right, I'll get the Blu-ray also. So we will have that as a Brushhead movie club, and I will get that on order, folks. I'm going to be damn honest with you. With me gallivanting my sorry formerly fat ass over to Europe, I will watch it on my next trip. Not this one, but the next one over there, and we will have it as probably in February, is my guess. So, John, what do you got for us this week?
Well, so it's funny that you made sure you stayed time for us to do that. I haven't watched anything new this week.
Well, that's fantastic.
I just
Gonzo, you
watched
got
The
anything
Losers
for us?
again and NCIS. Nothing new.
That's fine. Gonzo, did you watch anything interesting this week?
Yesterday I watched a movie called Skip Trace,
Okay.
which is a Jackie Chan and Johnny Knoxville movie. And
Holy
I swear it
shit.
was filmed on an iPhone 7.
Outstanding. So we're talking 3 shots of Kraken?
Oh, yes, it was quite humorous. I think I laughed more at the production than the actual jokes.
Outstanding.
That's
Seth?
no.
Do what you can to save this segment.
I actually have a really strong recommendation. I watched Netflix's new exclusive version of Lemony Snicket's series of unfortunate events.
Ooh, can't wait to hear this because it's like really depressing Harry Potter. So please.
It is, but it's so as a high school English teacher, I think it's one of my favorite book series. It's brilliantly funny. It is depressing and it is dark, but it teaches a lot of vocabulary. It teaches a lot of real life lessons. And part of the story
Because
is that
life
these
sucks.
are kids who are they're put into horrible situations, and for the first couple books they keep relying on the adults, and in the end they're like, fuck that. Adults can't do anything that we can't do. So we're gonna fix our own problems. The series is very true to the books. Neil Patrick Harris as Count Olaf is genuinely creepy, and they kept in all of the things that were really disturbing in the books. There's violence of all kinds, but when it comes to one of the kids gets hit, like, it's well handled that they pause the show to be like, this happens in the world, and we need to talk about it.
It's cool. It's cool.
Yeah, very well done. And they put in a couple things that weren't in the book that I realized at the very end of the series were great curveballs that I did not see coming. Well played.
Excellent.
Well done. Excellent show.
So you're going to give it, sounds like one shot of Kraken to get through the violence.
I'm going to say one shot of Kraken because there are some definitely truly disturbing moments, and then they acknowledge them.
Excellent. Sounds really, really good. You know, I'm very excited, folks. You know, it's an honor to get on here with Seth and Gonzo and John and to look at the beautiful things you guys have done over the last few months that we have kind of showed up here on Sunday night to try to kind of kick up your Sunday nights and provide you some entertainment. Really looking forward to seeing what you can do in the next quarter. I need personally for you guys to kick it up a notch as Brushheads and as cronies, because I'm gonna be traveling a lot. I'm not gonna be here as much. One of these episodes, we're gonna be looking at John to kind of lead the show. He's gonna bring us out of the darkness. And if I ever get off my dead white ass and teach him how to do this crap, that would be like really super optimal. But you know, folks, hang with us. Send the good vibes. I need to get back on track painting things. I have been on a little bit of a lull, and I need to send your positive vibes through the computer at me, and appreciate that. I'm going to be going after some interesting things in the next few months. I've got the Madrak 3 I've got to finish. I've got the Bouncer I got to finish, and I picked up Fiora 3. And Fiora 3 is an aggressive model. It has got a lot of colors that are going to be going on. Gonzo's telling me not to worry about it, not to bother with it.
You can just take her and throw her in the trash. I heard she's garbage.
Yeah.
She's not worth it.
Fucking amazing. Anyway, really, I will veto. Well played, Gonzo. Love you, babe. Totally gonna make Fiora 3. It looks like Amon and Fiora 2 are probably gonna be my pairing going forward. But anyway, so folks, it's an honor to bring you this show. I'm gonna put on music, John, because that's what we do about this time in the show. We're running a little bit late.
Thing before we go.
Yeah, go
we'll
ahead, John.
say, Rest in peace, Superfly Snuka.
Oh, goddamn. Superfly, Jimmy Snuka, up yours. Mm.
Oh, and if anybody who submitted wants more feedback on the models that they had, go ahead and get a hold of me at Side Hustle Studios on Facebook, and I'm happy to talk.
Man, I'm going to tell you what. That's what we love about you, Seth. You are different than our other sponsors. 9 out of 10 dentists didn't even know that they sponsored us, and fuck that 10th guy. And but you get it. And folks, thank you. It's a humbling ride for us here on Painting with Mental Health, John. We got some great folks that contribute to us each and every week. Y'all come on here and give us your all. So on behalf of the Gonzo, on behalf of the Seth, on behalf of the John Spencer, there's this guy. I'm Menoth John. I'm very humbled to be your guide through all of this. On behalf of the entire Painting with Menoth John broadcast team, y'all have a good week. I'm going to be in Europe. Fucking stay tuned to that shit, folks. CNN, bitches. Anyway, This is not fake news. This is Painting with Menoth. John, we'll see you next time. Good night, everybody. I could listen to this music all night long.
Gets my nipples hard.
Ah. Not just my nipples, buddy. Not just my nipples.
I was wondering which one of the three of you was going to go there first.
We're still live, by the way. Just gonna put that out there.
Yes. I love that.